Hey, Queen, welcome to Flip the Script, a podcast for spirit led women entrepreneurs that are the rule breakers, black sheep, and visionaries who are ready to be the director of their own lives. So, the purpose of this podcast is to plant seeds of abundance, to activate you, and to help you shift into your highest timeline. So, the only thing that you need to do is be willing and decide that you are ready to activate your purpose and live a life that turns you on. And so I'm your host, Angie, and I am your money mindset and business coach. And I'm here to have deep conversations with you and honestly remind you of your God given gifts so that you can build a conscious business and a life that is rich and purposeful. So I'm super excited about this episode today. I'm going to be walking you through the three core wounds holding women back, women entrepreneurs back from their wealth, their success, and the freedom lifestyle that you desire. It's honestly time to illuminate these wounds with love and compassion so that way you can start to flip the script in your life. So let's get started. Okay, so before we get into the wounds, here's the thing. Most women entrepreneurs that I have spoken to, and even for myself on my journey, think that the core problem in their business is the strategy. They start to say to themselves, I'm not getting results because I must be doing the wrong funnel, the wrong type of launch, or probably have like the wrong strategy in place. And here's the truth that took me a while to accept. And I've been in this journey for like 7 years now in the coaching industry. And I used to chase the strategy because I thought that that was going to be the solution to my problems. The thing is this, is that all strategies work, whether it's the bro marketing, the affiliate marketing, or even the soft girl approach, they all work. But the thing is, just because they work, it doesn't mean that it's the right fit for you. And this is where you have to discover that for yourself. What is the right type of business that you want to build? What type of life do you want to build? And how do you discover that? You can only discover that through trial and error. You have to test things out. And I find that in a lot of women entrepreneurs that I have spoken to, um, is that a big roadblock is that they don't test things out. And so if you don't test things out, you'll never know what actually is going to work for you. And actually, you'll probably be surprised sometimes that, oh, wow, that thing that I was so afraid of trying and testing out is actually not that bad. I can actually see myself including this in my own strategy, right? And so in this process, you got to define for yourself, or in this journey, this business journey, because it is a journey. You're not going to have all the answers in the beginning, and you have to also accept that too, that just because you try something out, and I don't really like to say the word try, but because you tested something out, it doesn't mean that it has to work right away. And sometimes, depending on where you're at in your business, it takes a bit of time until you see results. I see a lot of people trying to rush into things, and I get it. It's because of like social media really pushes that, like the quickness of things and the quick results. And if you're not getting quick results, then you're failing. And it's this whole thing, right? But this is where you have to like disconnect. And this is where you have to come back to yourself and define what does success mean to you? What does it mean to build your rich life? What does your dream business even look like? A lot of times we go chasing for all these external things that we forget to come back to ourselves, because when we come back to ourselves, this is where we can make decisions from a more aligned place. This is where we can make more grounded decisions, and we're not being pulled by all these different things that, yes, they can work, but it may not be what you're even looking for or what you actually want to build. And so that's why it's so important to get clear on what it is that you want to create in your business. Because if that's not clear, then you will make choices from a misaligned place. You're going to say yes to things that you actually wanted to say no to. And at the end, there's really no like wrong decision. Like I've said this before, because ultimately it's going to lead you to the right place. And you picked up along the way certain lessons and messages that you needed to receive in that moment to get you to the right place. But it doesn't always have to be that way. You can collapse time, and the way that you collapse time is by gaining clarity on what it is that you're trying to build, right? And so to make decisions from the most aligned version of you that has the life that you want, it all begins with your mindset and identity at that given moment, because it's from that place that you're going to take certain actions. It's from that place that you're in a grounded or not grounded place. So, that's where you got to ask yourself, like, what if the real blocks here is not necessarily the strategy, but these three core wounds that I'm going to talk about here soon that you've been carrying with you and you don't realize it. And that's why you've been taking certain actions in your business. And so what is a wound? So a wound is a deep, energetic, emotional, and psychological imprints, okay? Usually formed in your childhood. It could have been passed down through family or just also reinforced by society, which we see a lot. And this is the roots, basically, of why you keep sabotaging yourself, why you keep holding yourself back, why you keep settling for less. Even though you consciously say that you want the complete opposite. You're like, I want the money, I want the success, I want to be on stage, I want to host my own retreat, I want the clients, yet the results is showing something completely different. And the results that you're getting is not just random, it's not for no reason. It has to do with there's a deeper issue happening here as to why you're not getting the results that you say that you desire, right? And that's why I say that identity and mindset matter so much, if not more than the strategy, because building a business is 80% mindset and 20% strategy. And if you read the success books, if you like Neville Goddard, The Laws of Success, Think and Grow Rich, um, listen to Bob Proctor, the list goes on. If you listen to these really, even Tony Robbins talks about it, like if you listen to these successful um, people in history and also currently, they all come back to the mindset, the identity before the strategy. And so let's finally go ahead and uncover what these three core wounds are that's keeping you stuck in your business. Number one, the visibility wound. This is all about the fear of being seen. And so with this wound, the inner critic voice sounds like, don't post that. Oh, if you post that thing, people are going to think you're bragging. Oh, I don't know. If you say that out loud, they're going to judge you. Oh, if you go live, you talk about that topic that you want to talk about, like people are probably going to unfollow you. You kind of look funny, like you're not ready. You're not ready. It's kind of better to just stay quiet. Yeah, I think it's safer. It's safer. You don't have to worry about being judged or, you know, people saying mean things to you. Let's just not say it. Right now is not the time. Right? That's like the inner critic there that's over and over that says it on a loop. It's a repetitive thing that happens over time, right? Because remember, a wound is something that's deep within you. And over time, this starts to build and build and build. And you start to get quieter, quieter, quieter. Maybe you start to have like a low self esteem. Maybe you start to second guess yourself. And you start to feel like it's just not safe to be fully seen, to be fully felt, to be fully experienced. And a lot of times, the cause of this belief that was built over time, it comes from your childhood, right? Maybe you were told to be quiet. Maybe you were told don't show off. Or maybe you were criticized even for standing out or for shining your light as a kid. Or maybe you were ignored. And then there's also the social conditioning and religion that also plays a big role in this belief that women should play small and not take up too much space. Be a good girl. Stay humble. Women don't do that. Women don't express themselves in that way, right? And so over time, remember, this is a wound is a deep thing that happens over time and it builds and builds and builds and builds. And it's this lingering thing in the background that consciously, oh, I want to go on stage and I want to perform and I want to, I want the clients, I want the success, I want this, I want to be seen, I want to be heard. But then you're like, I don't freaking get why it's not happening, why I'm unable to press record or why I'm unable to reach out to somebody or whatnot. And it's because of this wound that's just existing in the background. Now, I'm going to say this now that in order to change anything in your life, you have to first be aware of where you're at. You have to be aware of what truths you've been holding on to in your life. They're not necessarily true, they're half the truth, but you've been holding on to that identity without even knowing. But it's not until you start to become aware, and this is why I was really excited to make this episode to help illuminate that for you, to help shine a light on that. Because once the light is there, it can't hide. Now you have something to work with. And so, how is this manifesting in your business, right? So, with the visibility wound, the way that this looks like is you procrastinating on posting, procrastinating on showing up live, procrastinating on starting the business, doing the thing. You start to, or maybe you have the business, but now you're afraid to share your expertise. So what do? You water down your message just so you can appease to other people, and you do it from a people pleasing place, right? Because you don't want to trigger anybody, you don't want to hurt anybody, or you don't want to get hurt. You don't want to be judged. You don't want to be canceled. You don't want people to unfollow you. You don't want people to not like you, right? Because you're coming from a place of love, right? From your heart. A lot of you are heart-centered women building a business from that place, from service. And you don't want to be looked at differently. So you water down your message. You hide behind the busy work instead of doing the actions that are going to get you visible. And it's okay. And it's okay if you're in this place because now you're aware. If you are resonating with this, start jotting these things down. Because you see, the thing is, when it comes to visibility, when it comes to being seen, we think that it's about performing, right? And it's not. This is not a performance. You get to be like, that's the whole point about being an entrepreneur, is that you get to be yourself, right? Like that. I mean, I feel like that's the common thing on why you would leave a 9 to 5, is so you can have the freedom, make as much money as as possible, make as much money as possible, and be able to be your true self. Because at a job, I mean, you can't always be your full self. You have to fit a certain mold at a 9 to 5. But when you build a business, you get to be all of you. And then here's your moment to be all of you. And then you hold yourself back and you dim your light and you water down your message. So it's about shifting that, like, the way that you're doing things, that this is not a performance. Focus more on serving people. Focus more on, how can I help somebody today? What message wants to come through today? So always come back and anchor back into, who am I creating this for? Whose life is being changed by my message, by me showing up? Whose life am I changing? Because you have to understand this, your dream clients, they can't hire you if they don't see you, if they don't feel you, and if they don't experience you. Makes it very difficult for someone to just want to purchase something from you, right? And the right people that are out there want to actually hear your message, want to actually hear what you have to say. And so you have to stop creating content for the people that don't give a fuck, for the people that are the naysayers, because that's not why you're doing this to begin with, right? You're doing this for the people that you actually want to help, for the people that are ready to receive your message. That's why you're doing what you're doing, right? So that's why it's about coming back to yourself, like, who am I creating this for? The critics or the people that actually want my help? And that's where you have to stay focused. You have to give yourself permission to take up space. Don't wait for the permission to be given. Take up space. Take up space. Give yourself permission to take up the space. And then tell yourself that messy action is sexy and it's liberating. It really is. Like, things don't need to be perfect. You have to get out of the perfectionism that everything has to be in place for it to flow. Sometimes it flows a lot better sometimes when you don't have everything in place and you just go with it and you feel it from your heart. And if you're unwilling to do the work to show up and to get visible and put yourself out there, you got to understand that you're leaving clients, money, opportunity, and impact on the table. You're missing out on what's truly possible for you and the positive impact that you can make in the world. And so that's why this is your sign to start shifting from the fear of being seen to being excited to be seen and looking at it from an empowering place. And it all begins with awareness, right? So that's the first wound. The first one is the visibility wound. Now, the second wound is the self-worth wound. And this is a big one. At least in my life, this is a deep one for sure. The feeling of not enough. And so when it comes to this specific wound, the inner critic voice sounds like, you're not experienced enough to charge that. Who are you to call yourself an expert? I don't know. I see other coaches that are way more experienced than you. Why would someone want to listen to you? I probably wouldn't share that information, or I probably wouldn't start that thing because you're not legit yet. You should probably get another certification, enroll in another mentorship, gain a little bit more experience before you actually start the thing, right? It keeps you in this loop of, you're never enough, that you have to keep seeking and doing, seeking and doing and obtaining, seeking, doing and obtaining. And you're never going to have enough. You're never going to have enough. It keeps you in that constant loop of always searching for something external. And so what are the causes of this? What has created these type of beliefs? for yourself, right? And making this inner critic sound louder and louder and louder to something you're like, man, I can't, like it becomes a part of you, right? That you're like, you believe it to be true. So different ways that it can show up obviously is, again, through your childhood, right? Through your childhood, religion, and like social programming. And so when it comes to your childhood, it could be that your family maybe tied love to achievement. Um, you could have experienced things where you internalize that making a mistake means you're a failure, and that in order to be worthy, you have to be flawless, you have to be perfect, otherwise, you're not worthy. You could have experienced things like needing approval to feel enough, right? Or maybe you were only celebrated when you accomplished something big. Like, for example, you got good grades, you won, there was a sports win, uh, or you got some reward at school, and that's when you were acknowledged and looked at and paid attention to, right? Maybe you even witnessed your mom, for example, um, or someone close to you, a sister or whoever was close to you in your life during that time, that they shrunk themselves, right? They always put everyone else first before themselves and rarely celebrated themselves. And so you believe that that's how you should be as well, right? Now you're modeling those behaviors now as an adult. In your business, the way that this is showing up is that you're undercharging your offers due to guilt. Okay. Maybe you're over delivering and burning out from a place of people pleasing in order to prove yourself in some way. This could be showing up by you struggling to set clear, bold boundaries. You're probably like constantly comparing yourself or feeling like an imposter or fraud, right? And this can also lead to you attracting the wrong clients that don't value and respect you, and also attracting the wrong opportunities that don't value and respect you. And you say yes to them because you feel like there's nothing else out there, or you feel like you don't deserve anything better, and this is what you get. So, how do you begin to shift this? You have to understand that money, success, responds to embodiment and conviction. It doesn't care about your credentials and your achievements. You don't need to earn your worthiness, because it's about understanding, coming back to yourself here, right? That you are already worthy and enough right here and right now. The thing is, like, society will have you believe that you are only worthy once you have that job title. You are only worthy once you get that college degree. They'll have you believe that your worth is tied to the income that you make. It's like completely wrong, because this is something that truly for like all of my 20s, this belief that I had because of what society programmed in me, right? Through school and college, I was taught to believe that I had to have all these things to be something when I was already everything. And it messed me up in my 20s. It really did. It wasn't until my 30s that I started to actually realize that, wait a minute, I'm worthy as I am, and I am enough right here, right now. I don't need the job title. I don't need the income. I don't need all these external things to make me worthy. I am worthy. So the moment that you decide that you are already the woman who gets paid for her brilliance, for her excellence, and the problems that you help others solve, that is where things start to change. That's where things start to shift. But it has to come from that internal decision and that inner knowing that the only person that needs to validate you is yourself. not the job, not the school, not your boss, not the likes, not the client. The only person that needs to validate you is yourself. The rest of that will follow. By owning your value, raising your standards, and positioning yourself as a premium brand, the right clients will follow, the right opportunities will follow. When you come from a place of service and you just know that I have so much to offer. I have experienced so much in my life. Of course I have so much to offer. I've lived X amount of years. Of course I have so much to offer. We've all experienced more than enough to offer something. All of us, each one of us. Doesn't matter how many years, no, it doesn't matter. We all have something to offer. We all have something that we can help somebody with. We all do. And you probably already naturally do it as well with your own friends and family without even realizing it if you haven't already been aware of that. But the rest will follow. But it all starts with you deciding and knowing that you are ready enough just as you are. And then the third wound is the success wound, the fear of success. And the inner critic voice for this one um, says things like, if I gain more success, I'll lose my friends or my family. They'll disown me. What if success brings more pressure than I can handle? Am I going to be able to maintain it? The more success, that means I have to pay a price. I have to sacrifice something. I can't have it all. The inner critic says, if you become successful, you're going to lose yourself along the way. You're going to change way too much. You won't even know who you are. The inner critics will say, if I make too much or succeed or desire more out of life, that's greedy and that's selfish. And so the causes of these types of beliefs that you may have can be from, experiences that you've had in the past, your childhood, and cultural narratives, right? So for example, like past successes maybe maybe you had an experience, right, from a period in time where you experienced success of some sort, and it led to jealousy, betrayal, or abandonment. It could have been from family or cultural narratives that women shouldn't be too ambitious, should only stay at home. Once you're a mom, that should be your focus, nothing else. Or maybe there was past failures that left trauma around messing it up again. And so you fear, like, if you gain this success, that you won't be able to repeat that. Or you could have experienced something as a child, where success was drilled into your mind, meaning like you were punished or maybe felt not loved enough for not being number one, right? We see those type of dynamics happening. So how does this manifest in your business? Well, this can look like sabotaging your launches or pulling back when things are going well, or when your business is building momentum, you start to self-sabotage in some way. You resist maybe systems and structures or learning new things that are happening in the marketplace, right? Like AI that can help you move to that next level. You stay stuck at a comfortable income ceiling to avoid pain. And pain in your mind is saying something like, stepping on people's toes or outshining others. You're afraid to lose customers or lose a friend along the way. The way that this also shows up in your business is being dependent on vanity metrics, so obsessed that you're like checking every minute of the day because you are subconsciously defining your success around external validation. And so you're attached to it. How many likes did I get? How many comments did I get? How many people replied? Da-da, 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 da-da. And sometimes the way that this can show up in your business is becoming like a workaholic where you keep yourself busy, but you're not truly focused on what's actually going to move the needle forward in your business. But you play the, oh, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm doing the work, but you're not really doing the work to actually help you succeed, right? And so when it comes to success, the success wound, just like I said in the beginning of the video, you got to redefine what success means to you. Because something that I really preach, with the work that I do is that it's not just about making the money. And yes, don't get me wrong, like having a money goal is important still because it gives you an aim, somewhere to go towards, right? You don't want to just be like whatever, like you have to have, there has to be certain things in place so that way you know that you're achieving it or not, right? You have to collect certain data, and if you don't have certain metrics to meet in your business, then how do you know if you're running a successful business or not, especially when it starts to grow? But it's also about understanding that, to know that when it comes to being successful, it is going to require another version of you. But even though that can sometimes feel scary or uncertain, it's about realizing that at the end of the day, you get to decide what that successful, rich life means to you. That's the whole beauty of all of this, right? Like that's why we get out of a 9 to 5, is so that we can build our own life, our own schedule, live life on our own terms, right? And so how you define it is going to be entirely different on how I define what that is for me. And that's perfectly fine. We're not supposed to be the same. And building a business, like I always said, there is no cookie cutter way to build something. Because the things that I find valuable and worthwhile are going to be different from what you find valuable and worthwhile. And I think a lot of people, what happens in the business industry is that the entrepreneurial world is that we get caught up in the hustle and the grind and reaching for the money first without getting clear on what it is that we actually want to build to begin with. We get sucked into this mentorship and we buy this program and that course. And we have all this information, which, like I said in the beginning, right? All strategies work. They all work. But just because they work, it doesn't mean that it's the right fit for you, right? That's why it's so important to get clear and define these things for yourself. And like I've said before in other videos and in my content, is that it's not just about building a business, it's about building a business around your lifestyle. Some of us may have kids, some of us may not. Some of us may be single. Some of us may, be in a relationship. Like we all have different dynamics in our life. So it's about building a business that can support that. Building a business around that, right? Building a business on your own terms. So saying things like, when it comes to success, you can affirm things like, I can be successful on my own terms. My success doesn't have to look like others. It is safe for me to expand and be more and desire more. And along the way, be surrounded by loving, supportive relationships and attract opportunities that value and respect me. Like that gets to be your truth. You don't have to align with, oh, success means I can't have it all, or oh, success means I'm gonna have too many responsibilities that I won't even have a life. The success, no, success can be that way, but it only becomes that way because you weren't clear on how you actually want to build it. That's why I said in the beginning, right? That clarity matters so much because we can get so distracted by the strategies and all these different systems, which that's cool. Those things are necessary, but you have to come back to yourself, because in order for you to make the most aligned decision from your highest version is when you know what you want, not what your coach said that you should want. No, you got to define it for yourself. And you got to also understand this, that when it comes to success, stepping outside of your comfort zone is going to be uncomfortable. That's just part of growth. That's part of living in this physical plane. That growth is uncomfortable. You have to accept that. The journey of success is also not linear. It's not just you're going to skyrocket and that's it, right? It's also understanding that you're going to have moments where things don't go as planned, and that is totally fine. And to look at those low moments as opportunities to extract the lesson from it. Because at the end of the day, you came here to make an impact. You came here to be of service. If you're a woman right now listening to this, like, you're here to help others, right? To guide them, to heal them, to help hold spaces for them. And so that means that you got to take responsibility for the things that you do in your business and the things that you don't do, right? The results that you get and the results that you don't get. It comes back to you about taking that inner responsibility. And this is how you start to build that business that you truly, truly desire. It's literally a progressive journey. It's going to have its ebbs and flows, just like the seasons, right? The seasons are not all just like this straight line. Like, it has its ebbs and flows as well. And your business is going to have its seasons. And another thing with success that I really want to put out here is that understand that when you become more successful, when you start to achieve more things in your life, in your business, that not everyone is going to want to celebrate you along the way or be a part of your journey. And understand that that is okay. Okay. Like, not everyone is meant to be at every season of your life. And in fact, when those type of people start to fall off, that's a good thing, because it starts to create space for those that actually do want to celebrate you, for those that do want to support you, for those that can actually hold spaces for you to elevate. And so something that I remember my boyfriend once said, a lot of the time, a quote that he heard once is that a lot of times the things that we hold on to is what's holding us back from our success, from our wealth, from achieving the things that we desire. And so, to kind of wrap all of this up, when it comes to these three core wounds, right? The visibility wound, the self worth wound, the success wound, they don't necessarily just go away, right? Because it's a journey. We're like an onion. There's different layers to us, there's different parts of us that are going to reveal itself over time as we reach new levels. That's just part of it. That's just part of life. But the more that you strengthen your visibility, the more that you strengthen your belief of yourself, your self-worth, the more that you strengthen your success muscles, then the more confidence and freedom you're going to be able to embody in your life. It naturally will start to come more and more. And so if you are ready to actually, break through these beliefs in your business, then the brand business audit is the perfect place to start. And in this session that I have, I basically give you the real tea on the ins and outs of your business. And we uncover, your money blocks. And then you'll also receive a personalized EFT tapping video based on the wound that we talked about in this episode, whichever one resonated most with you. So you can go ahead and book the brand business audit in the show notes below. And then if you would like the EFT tapping video, then go ahead and DM me the word EFT and then put the wound that you identified most with, and then I'll send you a custom tapping video that you can use. If you're watching this episode right now, then this is your time to rise. You are being called to your next level. And now you have the awareness. Now you are aware of what the 3 core wounds are, and whichever one resonated, or if all of them resonated in some way, then you have a starting point. You have something to start reflecting on. So you can start shifting those beliefs that no longer serve you anymore. So let me know in the comments below, what was your biggest aha moment? What resonated with you the most? And I can't wait to see you on the next one.